Good morning to all of you. Magandang umaga. We hope you are safe and healthy in this challenging time. Welcome to the 5th installment of the #WeCanDoIt webinar series entitled #ForwardThinkingFlex, Making Flexi Work Work. My name is Amor Coraming. I'm the Program Manager of the Philippine Business Coalition for Women Empowerment, PBCW, and I will be your virtual host for today. To discuss sustainable and effective flexi-work arrangements, we will not just have one, but two subject matter experts from investing in women. I will introduce both of them now as they will speak one after the other. Angelo Lacanlale is currently the Organizational Development, Diversity, and Inclusion Manager for Investing in Women. Then we will have Ms. Floramel Villanueva, who currently acts as WGE Advancement and Development Manager for Investing in Women. Let us all welcome Angelo Lacanlale and Floramel Villanueva.
Amel and myself will be sharing the presentation where we will be covering the definitions of what flexible work is. We'll share with you some research findings and how you can administer flexible work in your organization and a call to action. So if we go to the next slide, Alex. So PBC and Investing in Women commissioned a survey for around 600 respondents, which includes 50% men, 50% women, for large private sector firms. No? And this survey was conducted around May 7 to 17, 2020. And the aim of the survey was to just understand the impact of COVID-19 in as far as work and personal lives of employees are concerned. No? I guess in a nutshell, this depicts that in most cases, businesses across business sector largely shifted from working in office than working from home. And a majority of the people that we, at least who participated in our surveys, said that they felt that they were highly productive while doing so. So if we move to the next slide will show you what the employers provided during the time that people were working from home. In a nutshell, I guess while working from home served as a benefit for some people, where companies provided direct support to employees, the employees working from home were presented by a different type of emotional challenges while working from home. So if I go to the next slide, I guess what this tells us that COVID-19 has presented a significant impact on employment in the Philippines, specifically the adoption of flexible work. Flexible work means that you have a mainstream policy, and it is something that everybody in your organization is doing every day. No? So the ambition of flexible work is for you to be able to be your best self and be high performing, at the same time having a balance of healthy lives for everyone. So having flexible work arrangement in your company will definitely be an engagement driver for employees working in your company. At the same time, this could also be manifested in your ability to retain them. So I guess there are some benefits and in different levels of in a company, as an employee, and even the impact to the planet. No, what flexible work is not is when sometimes manager relatively provides some work adjustment, such as practices of flexibility, like allowing people to take leave, to take care of some domestic duties. This is not something that you should consider as flexible work arrangement. This is something that is a standard employee right. No, like because it's anyway part of a leave benefit, etc. Now, maybe if we go down to what flexible work means, flexible work is a practice that enables everybody in the organization to proactively design ways of working that combines time, place, technique for high performance. And flexible work components could include time, place, and technique. For example, in the column of time, I pick out compressed work week or compressed hours. No, so this particular option is maybe condensing standard 40 hours per week into fewer days. For the place example here, there are two particular options noted here. It's either working from home or working from a different location. The last component here, which is, I'll give you an example, which is like shift swapping. So I think that in a nutshell, there are different aspects in terms of like how you can do flexible work. And if you can look at the different options, there are the different options that the company can take in as far as taking some choices in terms of like how can they make work flexible, no? If we move on to the next slide, the other consideration that the companies would need to assess would be the nature of the work environment. No, the nature of the work environment here is depicted as scheduled and non-scheduled. Scheduled work environment would be for job where from X to Y hours, people would need to be in the specific workplace because of the nature of the business. A non-scheduled work environment is a work environment where you're allowed to have flexibility in determining how and where you do your work. During COVID, McKinsey, a management consulting firm, created the flexible work assessment model where they noted that this particular example and framework were determined by working with Asian banks. So I think with the three types of elements that we've shared with you, time, place, etc., and at the same time, the nature of the work environment and assessing human interaction and system readiness of your companies to do flexible work, those are some considerations that as an employer or as managers of businesses, you can make further assessment in terms of like how you can shape your flexible work policies, etc. Yeah. So I guess I'm shifting to the next slide, and I'll be introducing Amel, who will be taking over the second part of the presentation. Over to you, Amel.
So good morning, everyone. We have learned a lot about remote working, not only from Jello's presentation, but after months and months of all of us working from home, I think at some level we have now all become experts on the concept or on the practice. But my presentation today will inform us that working from home is not the only flexible work arrangement that you can offer to your employees. As what we learned from Jello, it is not a one-size-fits-all approach. So knowing the other flexible work arrangement options will enable employers to identify solutions that could balance your business needs and that of your employees. The boxes may not show telecommuting as an option, but it does not mean that it is off the table. It just simply means that employers just need to work with their employees to explore for proper solutions. And when you are exploring for these proper solutions, you need to ask two very important questions. Ask yourselves, instead of what roles should be remote, we should be asking what activities should be remote. I think the last point that I want to make here on this slide, for flexible work to benefit organizations and employees, it needs to be mainstreamed within the policy and your everyday behaviors. I just want to focus on 3 points. Number 1 is on role modeling. If leaders are not setting an example by not working flexibly or not doing it enough, employees will not be encouraged to avail of the privilege. Leaders can show flexibility is important by making it a priority. And one way to do that is ensuring that people who are working flexibly are included, for example, in team activities. Those that are working flexibly are still offered training, whether online or physical, that they are still receiving rewards and recognitions. And most importantly, that even if they're working flexibly, they are still up for opportunities for promotion. I want to focus now on performance. I think this is the hardest mindset shift that most managers grappled with. But now, as months after work from home, I think more and more leaders have now begun to understand that they do not have to see the employee for the work to get done. All the managers, the bosses need to do is set clear goals and objectives, align with the employees, and step back. But I think the key to ensure that your flexible work arrangement program and policies must align to your organization's culture. Culture, for example, cultures of trust, accountability, and results are very, very important. And all employees must be held to the same standards, whether they are working from home or if they are in the office. I think if trust is not there, that suggests a deeper problem within your culture, and the organization might want to handle that first thing. And then lastly, for flexibility for the future, for the leaders on this webinar, I think it's important to stress to plan for future needs and keep diversity of skills, of backgrounds, and capabilities in your team. You have to make sure that your structures are agile and malleable and responsive to the constantly changing customer needs and the different, the circumstances that are always changing, and that your staff are prepared to be flexible in the roles that they portray, and then the mix of skills that they bring to the tasks. I think doing that, as we've seen in COVID, that can help your organization manage volatile and uncertain factors in the future. So far, we have discussed various ways to work flexibly, the role of the leaders, how to pivot flexible work in the context of COVID. Our next slide, Tony, if you will attempt to provide guidance for employers in designing and delivering flexible work. I will start first with the first process, which is analyzing the current state. And for organizations out there, you start by asking the right set of questions. Question number 1, ask yourself, why have you decided to implement a flexible working policy in the first place? And then next, what is it that you're trying to solve with this policy? I think answering these questions will give you an idea of what flexible work model that would work for you. So therefore, before weighing your options, it's good to understand, what are you looking to optimize by implementing a flexible work policy? I think my last 2 points here is number 1, flexible work arrangement needs to work for the entire team and not just for some people. Achieving fairness for all employees, I think, is one of the biggest challenge that you will be facing as employers when you introduce flexible work, but it is not unsolvable. You just need to find something to offer each of your employees, engage them in finding solutions, and always explain your decision. And then my last point in the implementation is to always keep in mind that good employee relationships take conscious effort, more so with flexible work arrangement. So it's the role of everyone, not just the leaders, to exert effort to promote team building for all your employees, no matter what flexible work arrangement you're opting for. All right, with that, thank you very much. I'd be happy to answer any questions in the chat. So thank you, and I'll hand it back over to Amor.
Thank you very much, Amel and Jello. That was really very insightful. So as we move on, we would like to have our next speaker who will provide us with a more concrete application of what we have just heard about flexible work arrangement. We have Ms. Luisa E. Hebron, an HR Senior Manager, Strategic Talent Consulting and Total Rewards of SGV and Company. Please let us all welcome Ms. Luisa E. Hebron.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So to share with you our journey, so prior to pandemic, we used to hear various reasons from our employees regarding their needs to work flexibly. So flexibility is a 4-way commitment for us or for SGV. It requires us, employees, our team, our clients, and SGV to be in sync. Our goal is to create a trust-based, flexible work environment that continually challenges our assumptions about where, when, and how work gets done, while maintaining our clear focus on the results we want to achieve together. So flexible working for us is not about reducing work schedules or chargeable hours. It is about how agile we are to be in how, where, and when we work. Not only does it help our people meet their personal and professional goals, it also enables us to maximize contributions to our teams and deliver exceptional client service. We encourage our people to think differently about their working lives, their attitudes, and their actions, especially during these times when the need for flexibility may be the highest. Flexibility goes beyond work practices to include adaptability to individual styles and perspectives. It is critical that the collective team considers what is important to all team members individually in order to determine what can work for them, the client, and our firm. A flexible team culture empowers our work groups and engagement teams to determine how, when, and where to provide exceptional client service while meeting personal priorities. This commitment helps all of us meet the demands in our life outside of work, whether it's medical appointments, family commitments, or personal well-being, in addition to our critical client deadlines or projects. When we do this, we understand that all stakeholders will be satisfied because flexible working enables us to be responsive to the diverse needs of all stakeholders. So how does flexibility fit into our diversity and inclusiveness success? So we have adopted this framework from the Guide to Inclusive Leaders by Smith and Curl that was published around 2006. So our goal is to create sustainable, high-performing environment for our clients, teams, and individuals. This is not about meeting individual demands at the expense of our clients, our teams, and the firm as a whole. Flexibility is a key component of our inclusive and highest performing team's culture. This starts with understanding one's own and others' flexibility in order to achieve common goal and embedding it into the organization's priorities by promoting awareness. Flexible work environments won't yield the best results without a culture and environment that supports and embraces flexible work. So I only have 5 minutes or less. So before I end my discussion, I'd like to share what is working for us. There's no one-size-fits-all approach or framework. You may consider the following on how you can build a culture of flexibility. I think I'll be re-echoing what Amel mentioned a while before my presentation. So first, maybe is to remove stigmas and biases in relation to working flexibly. So focusing on results rather than hours work will empower teams to engage fully at work. Empower and enable people to work flexibly and trust them to continue to deliver regardless of when, where, or how they work. Second, embed in the organization's priorities. So discuss flexibility as an essential business initiative. Build flexibility into key business processes. Being clear about the positive career benefits and expectations will build shared understanding about opportunities to work flexibly while meeting business needs. Establish also how to measure leadership accountability. It is important or imperative to focus on the tools and processes that are needed to enable employees to collaborate and work together from wherever the business requires them to be it in the office, at home, or whilst traveling. Lastly, stay connected and committed. Commit to a culture that supports and encourages flexibility. Communication is the key in order to build trust. Proactive communication makes sure everyone understands what is expected of them as an individual and as a team collectively. Maximize the use of technology. Encourage teams to use a variety of resources available so that each person has flexibility they need to succeed personally and professionally. Find ways also to connect and create right spaces or boundaries. Understand the needs and deadlines of internal and external clients and all of the team members. Determine how the highest quality of work can be delivered while working flexibly, confirming that individuals understand the limitations without compromising one's personal well-being. So thank you again for this opportunity for us to share what we've gone through. We believe that flexibility helps us create an agile workplace culture nurture our employees by helping them meet their personal and professional goals, and enable our clients by having engaged professionals working in their business issues, as our business linkage research has demonstrated. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Ms. Luisa Hebron of SGV. Now we move on to our next speaker to provide public sector perspective and inputs on flexible work arrangement and to give us updates on how the government is providing support for companies and private sector organizations on the new behavior of work in this unusual time. We have Assistant Secretary and Concurrent Director of the Bureau of Local Employment, BLE, of the Department of Labor and Employment, DOLE, Assistant Secretary Dominique Rubia Tutay. Let us all welcome Assistant Secretary Dominique Rubia Tutay. ASEC, the floor is yours.
Magandang umaga po sa lahat. Thank you for the invitation. Government, in terms of the shifts in the working behavior, the beauty of being at the Department of Labor and Employment, meron pong rule-making power ang ating DOLE Secretary. So ito po ang ginagamit natin, yung rule-making power for us to be able to issue department orders or guidelines in terms of the flexible work arrangements. Makikita niyo po dyan na there are so many events happening globally or even nationally. The law came out because of the changes in the labor market. Alam naman po natin how old the labor code is, and meron na po tayong tinatawag na fourth industrial revolution. So whatever changes in the labor market, we really have to be adaptive, and therefore the Telecommuting Act was also enacted to address and respond to the changes in the labor market. And then ito pong mga series of labor advisories, alam po natin yan ngayon dahil noong 2020 po, when the COVID-19 struck our country and the whole of the globe, ay yung ekonomiya din po natin ang tinamaan, at syempre po yung employment po ng ating mga kababayan ang naapektuhan. So we have different labor advisories with respect to flexible work arrangements. So it would show you the different types of flexible work arrangements and alternative work schemes on telecommuting. So as I mentioned earlier, meron po tayong batas dyan, the Telecommuting Act, and it says there that the work will be done using an alternative workplace, but with the use of telecommunication and also computer technologies. As I have mentioned, this is in response to the fourth industrial revolution na po. Meron po tayong mga key considerations on how we implement telecommuting. Dapat po may programa yung kumpanya for telecommuting, at pangalawa, there should be a policy or an agreement na kailangan pong sundin both ng worker at saka ng employer. I mentioned earlier na hindi lahat pwedeng mag-telecommute kasi kinakailangan po yung performance ng worker po natin, trustworthiness, dahil kailangang pangalagaan kung anong klase ng work or type ng work yung kailangang i-telecommute. So isa din po sa key considerations po natin is yung tinatawag po natin na fair treatment for telecommuting employees. So when we say fair treatment, it's the same treatment that should be accorded to just like any other worker within the company. Ayan. Ito yung sinasabi ko po kanina. Pag nagte-telecommute po tayo, not all types of work can be telecommuted because of the data protection, the data privacy. So yung compressed work week po, iyan, I think it was also mentioned earlier. So when we say compressed work week po, yung normal po natin na hours or days ay binabawasan po yan. But ang ano po dito, ang basic rule is wala pong overtime pay, basta mag-stick lang po tayo dun sa 12 hours per day. Ayan. Yung assignment of an employee to other functions or position. So, ito po, maaaring ikaw ay accountant, maaari kang ma-transfer to admin work, but it requires also parang retooling or reskilling or relearning of the work. Reduction of normal work days and or hours per day and also per week. So eto po, rotation of workers po. Para lang lahat may trabaho, they would share the job. So employee 1, 2, and 3 can be assigned 2 days per week para lang po ma-maintain po yung kanilang employment at magkaroon din po sila ng kita. Yan. Partial closure of establishments. So ito po yung ibang units or departments within an organization naman po ay closed. So ang gagawin po, yan, magre-reassign ka na rin lamang po sa ibang units na available po. Forced leave, you just have to use your available credits. Otherwise, no work, no pay na rin po tayo. Ayan, broken time schedule. Ito po normally ginagamit ng mga restaurants before. Pero ngayon, mukhang hindi na rin po ito applicable in our situation given the pandemic. Flexible work arrangements natin in terms of compensation. So the no work, no pay rule applies in the company policy. Yung collective bargaining agreement natin needs to be revisited para po alam po natin na within the bounds pa rin po tayo ng company policy po natin. And the non-diminution of benefits and also proportionate reduction. So for all workers po, dapat fair din po yung pag-reduce ng workdays or number of hours po ng kada empleyado po natin na nire-retain. Ayan. Kung may grievance naman po, may reklamo, so the company should have that grievance mechanism. Because as mentioned earlier, yung pong mga flexible work arrangements po natin should be agreed upon between the worker and the employer. If not, pupunta po yan sa DOLE for conciliation mediation. And pag hindi pa rin po tayo nag-succeed, then NLRC will take over na rin. So for the companies, you can just apply online or report online po yung mga different flexible work arrangements po that you are adopting. So you just go to reports.dole.gov.ph. Ayan. So doon po sa monitoring po ng DOLE, we have about 2.3 million workers who have been affected by the different types of flexible work arrangements. In terms of gender disaggregation po, mas marami po yung mga kalalakihan who have been affected by the flexible work arrangements. But please take note po na meron pong data gaps dyan because in the application form or in the reports provided po by the company, hindi na po nila determine yung gender po ng mga workers affected. Ayan. And in terms of the size of establishments po, mas marami po yung, in terms of establishment size, micro, small, and medium enterprises, pinaka-affected po yung mga micro and small enterprises. But in terms of the number of workers po, mas marami pong affected na workers from the large establishments. So I think that ends my sharing with you. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, ASIC Nikki, for that very enlightening presentation. Now, as we proceed to the program, we have heard much about the corporate experiences as well as the government directions on flexible work arrangement. To provide us with insights from the business groups who are closely working with both employers and employees, let us all welcome two distinguished panel reactors from MAP and from ECO. I will introduce them now, and they will proceed later on with Attorney De Guzman first, followed by Mr. Roland Moya. Attorney Americo O. De Guzman is a senior partner and currently the managing partner of Acro Law. After which, we will have the Director General of the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, or ECOP, Mr. Jose Roland Moya. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Attorney Americo De Guzman, to be followed by Mr. Jose Roland Moya. Attorney, the floor is yours.
I will just share with you some insights that I might have based on my experience in the office and with clients, and probably share with you some insights on what we did ourselves in Acro Law. Working from home, however, especially as it came about arising from the pressures of COVID-19, is a looser and a more flexible working arrangement that may be distinguished from the rigidities imposed by the law and the rules on telecommuting. In that, working from home in many companies, except probably in the business process outsourcing industry, where there are more formal and probably more restrictive rules, working from home nowadays in other industries simply means that managements or employers allow employees to just work from home without necessarily. There are costs indeed. Management may have less control over the activities of the employee because he is in an environment beyond the office, no? And so there is less control on the part of the employer. Also, in many instances, the employees would want some form of subsidy or allowance from the employer in order to enable them to really be linked to the probably the communications or computer system of the employer. No, indeed, because of the sheer need to preserve employment, and I will just go and go back to the measures instituted by the Department of Labor. And I will call your attention to Department Order number 9, which is the first issuance issued by the Department of Labor in response to COVID-19. And in Department Order number 9, series of 2020, in fact, the DOLE, the department, identified only 3 arrangements, only 3 flexible work arrangements. And these are reduction of work days, rotation of work hours, and forced leave, which essentially identified these arrangements as being available to employers in the exercise of their management prerogatives after consulting with the employees in order to preserve and in order to avoid, in order to preserve employment and avoid dismissals. No? The issue was raised as to whether or not in, for example, the matter of reduction, rotation, and forced leave, whether there has to be an agreement with the employee. And there is nothing in Department Order number 9 which requires an agreement, unlike in telecommuting. No, there is no specific department order issued by the DOLE revising or instituting certain rules applicable to work from home arrangements as differentiated from the telecommuting pursuant to the Telecommuting Act, no? Because there are implementing rules, separate implementing rules that have been issued by the DOLE in that regard. What the DOLE has, however, seen fit to announce is that as much as possible before management resorts to the flexible work arrangements that it might be able to exercise by reason of management prerogatives, is that it consult the employees involved. You know? Now, invariably also, the companies have asked us in the course of our consulting whether or not they could adopt certain arrangements in foreign jurisdictions whereby employers forcibly reduce pay because of the pandemic. Here in the Philippines, however, we cannot do that. No, we cannot force employees to weather or absorb a reduction in pay because that would be against the non-diminution clause of the labor code. That would also mean a violation of particular provisions of the labor code that would, in fact, prohibit deductions from salaries agreed upon with the employees. In fact, they even mandate criminal sanctions for such an eventuality. No? So that's not possible forcing it through the employees. No, there has to be an agreement if employers are thinking of reduced pay, there has to be an agreement with the concerned employees. However, if the employers choose to adopt, for example, the flexible work arrangement of reduction of work days, which is specified in Department Order number 9. For example, you used to work from 6 days, you now want to work just 4 days, or even half of that, 3 days in a week. That is an exercise of management prerogative, and the resulting diminution in the monthly take-home pay will not be a result of a reduction of the salary, but it is the result of a reduction of the work days. And following the no work, no pay rule under the code and jurisprudence in the Philippines, that is possible. There is no need for an agreement with the employee. And so indeed, working from home has its advantages. No, a peek into the future would probably mean that this will stay with us for quite some time. Indeed, we will have to address the concerns, and in our case at Acrolo, address the proposal for us to have more regular work from home arrangements for our staff. I don't know what government will institute by way of formal measures, except that in this regard, I might have to say that there is a Senate bill, in fact, pending in the Senate, proposed by Senator Marcos, Senate Bill 1448, which says, or mandates, in fact, employers to place them on work from home, particularly for those whose physical presence in the workplace is not necessary for the completion of the job and who has at least 1 year of service in the company. No, we are keeping our fingers crossed, and we hope eventually, yes, work from home will probably be here to stay, and dialogue such as this one will indeed be fruitful as we adapt to the new normal of the future. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney De Guzman. I'm sure there will be lots of questions later in the Q&A box. May we now hear from Mr. Roland Moya. Sir, the floor is yours.
I would just like to make four points. The first point is that the Employers Confederation of the Philippines played an important role in the congressional deliberations of the then bill on telecommuting. The second point is that by this time we have seen how flexible work arrangements have played an important role in ensuring business sustainability, but also in promoting gender equality as well as diversity and inclusion in the workplace for the past 11 months since the COVID-19 pandemic, forced businesses to adopt alternative work arrangements to keep them afloat. In a traditional family structure in the Philippines, one person is expected to quote unquote work while the other stays at home to manage, if not perform, the unrecognized and unpaid household chores. Women often find that balancing responsibilities at work and family roles is a barrier to workforce participation. In the same way as work gets in the way of managing the family also inevitably gets in the way of managing work. In this sense, flexibility can certainly help women. During this COVID-19 pandemic, the transition to a digital economy has helped women gain more control over their performance as an employee and in respect of their responsibilities at home. Flexible work arrangements have afforded women the ability to have a work-life balance by allowing them to discharge both roles. Working from home allows workers, especially women, to address family demands by providing a possibility to integrate and synchronize their work and family responsibilities. Women who are given the opportunity to work from home are able to perform work-related tasks while also attending to family duties simultaneously. I agree with the presentation of investing in women when they said that flexible working allows for the design of work behavior that creates high performance among employees, colleagues, and leaders. By putting in place flexible work arrangements, we are able to empower workers to become more efficient and perform better. However, to ensure that this is realized, employees must be equipped with the right skills. This leads to my third point, the need to upskill and reskill the workforce. We need to reskill and upskill our workers, especially women, not only to prepare them for the so-called future of work, but also to provide safe and decent work for all. As we move towards going digital, let us not forget the need to put our people at the center of our priorities. Employers will have to address the growing digital skills gap within the workforce to ensure that employees are able to cope up with a paradigm shift. In the October 2020 Labor Force Survey of the Philippine Statistics Authority, the labor force participation rate of women is lower at 45% compared to men at 72.3%. The employment rate for men is slightly higher at 91.3% compared to the employment rate of women, which is 91.1%. We still need to push for a more diverse workplace and open more opportunities for women by acknowledging their capabilities in the same level that the capacities of men are viewed. I agree with the perspective of SGV that we need to enable culture change. It is by challenging the current status quo that we enable change to occur. The upskilling and the reskilling initiative on the part of every employer is an important factor that will support the move for gender equality as well as diversity and inclusion in the workplace. If employers invest in reskilling, they can maximize the gains, especially from female workers, while ensuring that they stay competitive and are able to maximize their competitiveness for employment opportunities. This will further support the move for a more diverse and inclusive workplace as we break away from the traditional workplace culture which is dominated by males. Additionally, upskilling women is projected to deliver optimum advantage for the company as they hone new skills to empower them to become leaders of their own in the new digital era. And the last point, allow me to share with you ECOP's own practices on flexible work arrangements. Prior to the pandemic, we didn't see the feasibility of such arrangement, considering the nature of the services that we provide our constituents. And then the disruption came. We were left with no choice but to operationalize flexible work arrangement in order to remain operational. Now, 11 months into telecommuting, we have seen how the system is working for our employees, especially those with home-based family roles. This became possible by mapping the strengths and weaknesses of all members of the ECOP Secretariat and ensuring that everyone is ready to work from home. I agree with investing for women when they mentioned that it really is important to provide employees with remote working tools to facilitate collaboration and interaction. Digital tools such as Zoom, Messenger, Viber, and the various Google applications help the ECOP Secretariat to coordinate among one another whenever needed and support ECOP to dispense its services. ECOP responds to the needs of the Secretariat in the form of tools, resources, and capacity building so that no one will feel that he or she is left behind during the sudden digital shift. ECOP strongly values gender equality diversity, and inclusion in the workplace, which is why we put into practice these concepts. The ECOP Secretariat is female dominated, and half of these women are working mothers. And I could say that putting in place flexible work arrangements has helped these women to explore their capabilities and has empowered them. Aside from implementing work from home, ECOP is also implementing a job rotation scheme in which identified ECOP staff are required to report in the office on a certain schedule. The same with other flexible work schemes. This is also helping the ECOP staff to become efficient at work wherever it may be located and manage their work-life balance better, as they are not required to report on a daily basis nor for a full 8-hour stay in the office. Moreover, ECOP invests in our people by reskilling and upskilling them. Our staff are enrolled in various capacity building programs. We enroll our staff in relevant courses of the International Training Center of the International Labor Organization based in Turin, Italy, to acquire new, if not hone their technical skills. I should not also fail to mention that we joined the training programs organized by the Philippine Women's Economic Network through the Philippine Business Coalition for Women. These are what we do, from participating in policy development to leading by example, to promoting compliance, to upskilling and reskilling. And through all these things that we do, one important lesson we have learned is that flexible work works. Thank you and good day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roland Moya. Thank you also to Attorney De Guzman. At this time, I would like to invite our Executive Director, Ms. Julia Abad, for the closing remarks.
Thank you, Amor, and thanks to everyone who's here with us this morning. Since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have been seeing the largest natural experiment on flexible work arrangements. Measures imposed enabled flexible work anywhere and at any time as an imperative and compelling business solution to the abruptly announced quarantine restrictions. But perhaps, as the discussion today shows, more importantly, the pandemic also presented an opportunity to increase productivity by improving quality of life through flexible work arrangements. We saw today that flexible work can be an engagement driver and can promote better retention of employees and of talent. It is a practice that enables employees, their colleagues, and leaders to proactively and collaboratively design ways of working that combine time, place, and technique for improved performance and quality of life. The pandemic has shown that leaders do not need to physically see their employees to ensure that work is actually done. In exploring proper solutions, we must ask ourselves what activities should and can be done remotely. What level of human interaction is really needed in this activity, and whether or not our company has the right infrastructure to make this happen. If leaders cannot set the examples, employees may also not be quite as inclined in availing of such flexible work options. Trust, accountability, and results are vital in flexible work arrangements. Today, we also heard that organizations should consider different factors, such as employee and client requirements, when considering flexible work arrangements. For companies, it is important to make sure that structures are agile and flexible in ever-changing needs, as this can help organizations manage volatile and uncertain futures. It is important to always keep in mind that good employee relationships take conscious effort and more so in flexible work. It is important to apply a diversity and inclusion lens in managing crises. It is important to support and to help manage the mental health of our employees. And in exploring flexible work options, it is also important to ensure that employees can continue to perform at their best. There are several processes to design and deliver flexible work arrangements. First, we must analyze the current state of our organization, consider every aspect of our business, and ask ourselves why we are considering flexible work in the first place. We must consult employees and other businesses, as these factors help to understand the readiness of our company and our organization. Second, we need to develop a strategy and build the business case. And in implementing this strategy, flexible work must be formalized rather than leaving it as an informal manager-employee arrangement to avail of the real benefits of flexible work and to avoid inequalities. Flexible work needs to work for the entire team and not just for some. One of the things that PBCW was advocating for, even before the COVID-19 situation, was really how to organize and institutionalize flexible work as a strategic business direction for companies. Even before the pandemic, flexible work was already largely associated with women who wanted to become economically and financially empowered while still fulfilling all their other duties at home and as mothers. What we also wanted to promote are flexible work options aside from work from home. As we saw today, there are plenty of these, such as telecommuting, reduced or part-time work, compressed work week schedule, and job sharing. I'm sure if we talk to more companies, we will find many, many more innovations and examples. To help companies think through these options and to provide a structure for looking at how their companies might implement flexible work, PBCW is offering a toolkit on flexible work arrangements that can help companies determine the right and effective arrangement for their particular workforce with time, place, and technique considerations. Flexible work allows workers, especially women, to integrate their work and home responsibilities. By putting flexible work in place, we are able to empower workers to become more efficient and to work better. It is important that workers are equipped with the right skills that not only prepare them for the future of work, but also to successfully equipment with safe and distant working. As we heard today, it is important for people to be at the center of our businesses in order to address the growing skills gap. We need to enable culture change, and it is only by challenging the current status quo that we are able to enable this, that we are able to make this change happen. With that, I'd really like to thank Jello, Amel, Luisa, and Asik Nikki for sharing your experiences and insights with us. To Attorney De Guzman and to Roland Moya for providing us with a management perspective, and to the Management Association of the Philippines for co-organizing this webinar with us. As we heard this morning, leadership is key to creating a sustainable, flexible work policy for organizations. And as such, we are very pleased to see the commitment of MAP to looking at flexible work options by holding this event with us today. Thank you to all of you for spending this morning with us and for your interest in this increasingly relevant policy discussion. While flexible work was largely seen as a temporary measure in the past, this opportunity brought about by the pandemic is really allowing us to look at it as a longer-term strategy towards greater productivity, improved workplace diversity, and a higher quality of life for our employees. As we close this webinar today, please indulge me by allowing me to invite you all to be part of PBCW, the Philippine Business Coalition for Women Empowerment, so that we can all further learn from and share our collective innovations and experiences. Thank you, everyone, and good morning to all of you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Julia Abad, for sharing your valuable insights with all of us here today and for providing us a very comprehensive summary of what just took place the whole morning. Thank you to Mr. Angelo Lacanlale, Amel Villanueva, Attorney Rico de Guzman, and Mr. Roland Moya. We have now come to the end of our session for today. We would like just to quote from an earlier MAP article of our chair, Ms. Boots Garcia in Business World. The future of work is here. Flexible work is about embracing the new normal of technological change. Emphasizing the benefits of flexi work is just one way. Investing heavily on it enables organizations to maximize their talent pipeline by keeping a happy, healthy, and productive workforce. It is time in this time and age, running successful businesses requires more than achieving profitability and generating revenue. The outdated approach of traditional work no longer fits the narrative in today's corporate setting, which now recognizes the value and benefits of gender equality and women empowerment. To our participants, may we please request you all to fill out the evaluation form there on the screen right now by saving this link or through the chat box. I think it's already there. Kindly click it. Your comments and ratings will be very helpful for us to improve our next set of webinars. We hope you have learned something today and that you can apply in your work and in your respective organizations. Thank you for your participation. And we will be organizing more of these webinars on various topics of workplace gender equality, diversity and inclusion, and women's economic empowerment. We hope to get to work with all of you in pursuing these advocacies in the Philippines. Our team in PBCW would be very ready to provide more information on how to enhance WG and diversity and inclusion in policies and practices. Thank you very much. Please follow PBCW and MAP and tag us in your social media posts at PBCW on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And you can also email us at the email addresses set there below. Once again, thank you very much. Stay safe and healthy, and let us all move forward to reset and recovery. Thank you.